welcome to another episode of Changepreneurs. We are a team of coaches from around the world that have conversations that spark change. So before we begin, I just want to say a small quote by Kiran Bedi. Don't avoid doing something, wondering what the consequences might be. Give it a thought, break it down, and consider what really may happen rather than not do it at all. So today we have the honor of hosting Ujala Bedi Chaudhary. Welcome, Ujala. A true chain maker, a social advocate, and a market expert who seamlessly blends her corporate acumen with social impact. After spending more than a decade in the corporate world and a transformative volunteer experience with Navjyoti Foundation, led Ujala to pivot her career towards social change. With two master degrees, one in English literature and the other in social work, she has dedicated her journey to creating meaningful impact in the development sector. A recipient of Pride of India Award, Ujala has been recognized for her contributions by esteemed organizations like Give India, TIS, and GuideStar. She also has shared her insights and prestigious platforms, including National Center of Innovation and Development on Community Colleges, the Inspired Leader Conference at SOIL, and TEDx at Vivekanand School. She's currently working as the Director of Collaboration and Collation at Navjyoti Foundation. Her work stands as a testament of the power of purpose-driven leadership, just as we dive into her journey. The lessons she's learned, the changes she continues to drive in the world. Welcome to Changepreneurs, Ujala.
Happy to be here. I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for having me, Nayat and Roshni.
I'm so
Thank
glad.
you.
So today we have as my co-host Roshni. Thank you, Roshni, for co-hosting this episode with me.
Thank you, Inayat.
So without wasting any further time, let's jump into the episode right now. So Jala, to begin with, tell us a little bit about your childhood. Where are you from? What did you do? A little bit about that.
Sure, sure. So, Inayat, I was born in Amritsar, Punjab, but my family relocated to Delhi when I was very young. I was, I think, in grade four. And this move, honestly, wasn't just a regular shift. It happened during the 1984 riots, which
Oh
was a
wow.
period of immense unrest. That
Mm-hmm.
experience shaped my understanding of, I guess, resilience and adaptation at a very young age. I was only eight
Mm-hmm.
years of age, but those memories have stayed with me. And seeing the impact it had on families back then instilled in me a lifelong commitment to, I guess, to being part of the solution to rebuilding lives and strengthening communities. So I can say that it wasn't just an event in history. I think it became a defining moment in my own story.
Wow. Wow. So when you shifted, so this was during the riots before or after? Like that was the year?
After 1984, after that, yeah,
All right.
yes,
All right.
yeah.
That's interesting.
How was it after you moved to Gurgaon?
Yeah, so I did my schooling, my college, everything happened in Delhi. There was no looking back, of course. And then I started my career pretty early with Citigroup, wherein I worked for a decade. And honestly, I was deeply enjoying my journey, excelling professionally and growing in my career. And of course, I got married, and then came a turning point in my life, and I was blessed with my baby boy. And honestly, his birth was not an easy one. It was a very tough surgery. But other than that, just 20 days after my son was born, my father-in-law passed away. Now, that moment in life was profound. It made me experience, both joy of new life and the sorrow of losing a loved one, all within a short span. Honestly, then that was a time of deep reflection for me. While I was on my maternity leave, I was very fortunate and I had the opportunity to visit the rural areas in Haryana where Navjyoti was working. And my real sister, was already part of the foundation. And through her, I got to interact very closely with the rural women beneficiaries. Now, Haryana, where we are, Navjyoti Foundation, it's a very rigid community,
Mm-hmm.
and the women were not allowed to step out of their homes, and they were victims of all sorts of heinous crimes which existed in the community. Now, seeing the realities of their lives, understanding their struggles, and witnessing their resilience moved me deeply. I think it was a world so different from mine, yet it felt like, a calling. And the entire rural setup and the challenges these women faced made me reconsider my own path. And that's when the transition happened, one that led me from the corporate world into the development sector, wherein I found a deeper purpose. So that's
So
the
you
journey.
you mentioned about the 1984 riots having a big impact in your life, and this turning point in your life when you started working for Navjyoti. In your younger days, did you have any experience or any inspiration towards working in the social sector?
Uh, so I used to be, in schools, as you know, there used to be Rotary clubs wherein you kind of participate, and I was always, um, I always wanted to be a part of such initiatives. So I think that kind of came pretty naturally to me. And then, having said that, as I mentioned, I was very young when I kind of witnessed all that, and that it moved me. I used to be a part of the distribution activities wherein, we used to go out and along with my family and of course the school children and the students, and do a lot of community work. So I guess that also came pretty naturally. Yes.
So moving back to your past experience, as you said that you had gone for the first time, and Haryana is a very rigid community. Ujala, I'm curious to know, like when you went there, like people like us, because we live in cities, and you said that you had a very profound experience because it was so different from your own world. What was your first impression when you went and you interacted with women, and how was that like?
I'll be very honest with you. The first few days when I interacted with them, I was just stunned, the way, it was such a big deal for them even to step out of their homes and to come to our center. They were just not allowed to do that. And I used to wonder, here I used to work in Citibank in Jacaranda Marg in Gurgaon, those fancy buildings, and just few kilometers away from there, you see such atrocities happening to these women, and they were beaten up, there were dowry deaths, and all sorts of crimes which were happening in the community. And to be very honest, when you see suffering up close, you either feel pity or you look away, you know, but neither helps. Pity distances you, and ignoring it changes nothing. So I have learned to, I think, channel those emotions into action during that point in time. So instead
Mm.
of getting stuck in, this is so unfair, I ask, what can I do? That shift from feeling to doing, I think, um, kept me going. So it was not about fixing, and it's still not about fixing everything in IF, but it's about making a difference where you can. So to be very honest, at that point of time, although, at times there are emotional breakdowns, and, you kind of,
Mm, exactly. Mm.
the emotional breakdown, and you kind of look at them and you wonder, my God, what's happening? But then I think I just don't let, or I didn't at that point in time let emotions drown me. I just use
Hmm.
them as fuel to keep moving forward. And it's been a beautiful 17 years journey, and I'm sure there's no looking back. So, yes.
That's so beautifully said. But again, like following up to what you said right now, what
Yeah.
helped you navigate through these emotions? Because it's so challenging. Like, as you rightly said, that, a lot of times, even if we are addressing it, we're looking at them at pity because we are not in that situation. So it's very easy for us to create that distance. So if someone has to make that difference and they're having the emotions to work for the society, but a lot of times pity distances them
Hmm.
and they're not able to channelize those emotions. So, what helped you navigate your emotions so that you could fuel them in a positive direction and not in a negative direction?
I just had to be a part of it. You know, they say now that you have to be part of the system. I just had to
Mm-hmm.
be a part of it. You know, every day leaving my son behind, who was just 6 months old, I used to make sure that I used to go to the community, to these villages every day. I had to dress up like them. I had to be like them. I had to be at their homes to understand them more, because, you know, the more you are with them, you understand, and then um, you become a part of them, and the more you are with them, the more you want to help them and see that how do you really channelize your energy to make changes in their lives. So I think
Mm-hmm.
being a part of, I just was one of them. You know, I still remember my mother-in-law coming back and saying, you just started looking like them, Ujala. So I said, I have to be, because if I have to be, uh, I have to work for them, I have to be one of them. It's as simple
So
as
that they can
that,
relate to you.
so
Yeah.
that they can relate to me. Otherwise, you know, one fine day they'll
Mhm.
just come back and say that, listen, who are you? You don't even know what kind of problems we go through. You can't preach that. You just have to be a part of them. You have to be one of them to even. I won't use the word to win over them, but to get that connect, because it can't be superficial enough. It just can't be
Mm.
superficial. You have to eat with them. You have to, like, I remember I never used to have tea ever since I was, you know, with City. But then I realized that, you know, if they're offering you something, you're not having it, then they used to get offended that, oh, you just don't want to have it with us and you're leaving without having tea, etc. So I had to change so much, but it's all for good. It's all for good. No regrets whatsoever. So I would answer this question by just sharing that, you know, you just have to be a part of the system. You have to be one of them.
As you become one of them, that's such a shift in your life, right? How was
In
it?
your perspective, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even your daily life must have changed drastically after you took that transition. How was it for your family and for your, that part of your life? How did that impact the transition that happened when you became one of them?
Um, when I took this decision to enter this development sector, I think my family was pretty supportive of this decision. And to be very honest, there came a time where I used to even get threats from, you know, few um, uh, corrupt people or council, the village heads and the sarpanches, and they knew pretty much everything about me, where I come from. I have a small kid back home. What time do I come in? What time do I go back? So it was pretty overwhelming initially for me and for my family too. But honestly, I had already taken a decision that there has to be no looking back. So I used to go back to my leaders and I used to tell them, I'm in this situation. I'm pretty new. I hope I haven't done something which is really not correct. So, but then they taught me a lot, and they kind of told me that how should you handle such situation. So I figured out, and then I realized that it is all about you can't work in silos. If you're working for the community has to be with you. And even if it's a sarpanch, it is the people who have chosen these sarpanch or the village heads, right? So any project which you undertake, it has to have a buy-in and you have to make them a part of that ecosystem. Now, the moment I understood that and the moment I learned that, I think things became easy. And it was the same set of people who used to come and threaten, and today they are our brand ambassadors. So
Wow.
initially, it was not easy. And the family also used to get overwhelmed as to what's happening, because, you know, as long as it's on to us, it's still understandable because it's our choice and it's our decision. But when it comes to your child and your family, then it gets overwhelming. But I think we've all learned over a period of time, and it's been a beautiful journey. It's all about learning every single day. Yes.
That's quite powerful to bring people who were once threatening you to become ambassadors of the work you do. I think
Yeah.
that is so inspirational in itself.
Yes.
It becomes part of the community.
Yes.
So, Ujala, starting, tell us a little bit about the foundation, Navjyoti Foundation.
Sure, sure, sure. So in our we are a 37-year-old organization, almost more than 3 decades, and it was started by none other than our leader, Dr. Kiran Bedi, and the like-minded police officials. Now, our motto is towards self-reliance, and we are very mindful of the fact that we do not want to do anything which is parallel to what the government is doing. And again, the second important aspect is that we do not want to do we don't want to make the communities dependent on us. Any activity which we undertake, it has to be that we are making the communities self-reliant so that eventually they can not only take care of themselves, their families, but communities at large. We started with a small juggi or a hut, and we also started with a drug de-addiction center. And rather than putting these peddlers behind the bars, Dr. Bedi actually opened a rehabilitation center in a police station only. And while they were being treated, the family members, especially the women, they came to Dr. Bedi and they said that while you're doing so much for the country, please do something for us as well. And we thought, okay, so from a juggi or a hut, we opened a Silai Kendra or a stitching center. And while the addicts were being treated, but these women were taught the skill of sewing and stitching so that eventually they can take care of themselves. Now they came back to us and they said, we are very happy and we are very happy with what you're doing. Do something for our children too. Now, the government schools were not in the vicinity of those areas. So we started with gully schools. We started with the by-lane schools. And it was all a voluntary setup wherein the children were being taught by the college students, and the housewives used to come and teach these women the stitching and sewing and everything. So this is a history because I thought it was important to share because it all revolves around our motto, which is towards self-reliance. We're not in this business of taking money and just distributing the stuff. We don't believe in all of that. Whatever activity we are doing as per the needs of the community, it has to be uh, created or crafted in such a way that it eventually makes the communities, whether the children or the women or any other project, it empowers them. It makes them self-reliant. So one such vertical is child education program. It is called School Ke Baad School. It means a remedial education school. Now the government schools are there. We don't want to replicate that, program. We first mobilize the community, the parents, and the children to go to the government schools so that they do not drop out. They come back to our remedial education centers, and they learn from us for 3 to 4 hours every day. And we realized that if you look at the pan India, the surveys were done, and if you look at the pan India ratio of the teacher and the children, it's close to one is to 200. So we can really imagine what kind of interest will these children have in learning. So our
Learning, yeah.
model, yeah, so our model is such that we kind of make sure that it's a very activity-based learning. We teach skills right from grade 8 to our students so that by the time they are in grade 12, they exactly know that what is it that they wish to do and we don't waste the time. And also, we have a very interesting concept of Balgurus. There are close to 18,000 students in that area alone below the age of 18. Now, the kind of bandwidth and the resources we have, we can't go beyond 2,000 students on daily basis. But then what happens to the rest of them? We also have to understand that it's a crime-prone area. If you do, they say that idle mind is devil's workshop. If you don't engage them in a proper way, then they will definitely be deviated in whatever way they have to be, because there's rampant crime and other kinds of heinous activities which happens in these areas. So we introduced a beautiful concept called Bal Gurukul, wherein these younger students, it could be grade 7, grade 6 students, whatever skills they have, whatever they are learning from our foundation, what happens is they give it back to the students wherein we are not able to reach out to. So, for example, in the tiny homes, small little tiny homes, They've created or converted those homes into small classrooms. When they come back from their schools or Navjyoti remedial education centers, they teach those students without any fee, no greed, nothing at all. The idea is that we want to instill the sense of gratitude right from that tender age. We teach them that you were fortunate that somebody is helping you in your studies. It is our moral duty that you have to reach out to others and instill that thing, whatever you're good at, because we map the talent of the child right from grade one. So this is
Mhm.
one of the projects. The second is that with the help of few corporates, we're also trying to make sure that digital literacy is all there, not only with our students, the youth, but also in the community. And so artificial intelligence, robotics, coding, etc., is being taught to more than 10,000 students every day, youth, women, and children also. Another interesting project we have in Haryana, in Gurgaon, we cater to about 45 villages in Haryana. But the needs of those areas were very different. There were victims, as I said earlier, of domestic violence and dowry death and all sorts of heinous crimes which existed in the communities. So again, as our motto is towards self-reliance, we entered into self-help groups, microcredit programs, so that they're eventually taking care of themselves and they can probably are into microcredit programs. We're not into microfinance, but we're into microcredit programs so that any income generation activity, whatever they are good at, we kind of make sure that whatever income comes goes for to upscale their business and upskilling them. So today women are really taking good care of not only themselves, their children, but they're expanding their businesses in a big way. And lastly, environment projects. We're also into environment projects because, as we know, the climate change and all of these issues are for real. And we have constructed of about 45, we've targeted about 45 police stations in Haryana, in Gurgaon. And all of them, we've covered them all for rooftop harvesting structures so that not even a drop of water during rainy seasons, it gets wasted. And we have created check dams, grading structures, we have revived ponds in the villages. So all of this is happening. Lots happening in the community, actually.
There is a lot of things happening. Ujala, you mentioned microfinance and credit. Could you just explain a little bit for our listeners?
Sure.
What
So, my,
exactly is that concept?
sure. So microcredit is like, what we've done is we've created the self-help groups. So, one group would have primarily not more than, let's say, 10 to 15 women, and they will all get together every month and as per the capacity, they will do savings, let's say 100 rupees savings or 200 rupees savings as per the capabilities per month. Now we encourage that they do either group loaning so that that money, when, it is, um, uh, when they have a good kitty, then they kind of use that money for income generation. And if they have to take loan from Grameen Bank or the local banks, they take loans again for the income generation activities. Now, the whole idea is that that money cannot be used for any other, uh, you know, how in villages when the daughters are getting married, they will try to use that money for dowry and all of that. So we make sure that this money, which is saved by the group, is only and only for the income generation activities. If nothing else, they buy buffaloes and income starts. I have so many examples wherein there are women who have opened their production houses and they're doing so well, that they have started to, these women were widows and they didn't have any source of income, leaving behind, small children, and there was no source of income. They learned stitching and tailoring, and we, made sure that they are part of self-help group and they have their own production houses. And today they have gone that far that the kids are doing so well. They're doing MBA from reputed institutes. Not only that, they have started to employ even or hire the other needy women from the nearby villages. So it really creates a ripple effect in the community. So this is the power of self-help group or microcredit. It's not only for economic independence, but also social independence, because when these women, they come together, they talk about their problems, social issues, and they realize that it's all common. The social issues are all common. For example, if there are illegal liquor shops right opposite the boys' school, they are getting into at a very young age, they're getting into all these things, and they used to beat the mothers and sisters up. All these women, they got together and they made sure that these illegal liquor shops are all shut down. So the power is not only economic independence or to financial independence, but also social, taking care of the social problems. And not only that, they have created a federation which is called Jagrit Nari Federation, and they are even more powerful today. So there are close to more than 2,000 women who are a part of this muhim, if I can call, or a movement, and they're doing very well. They're fighting for right causes, whether it is for environment, climate change. They have called themselves, few women have called themselves as Pani Police also, because they've become champions of how to save water in the villages and the communities. So it's a very successful model.
It can be so empowering for these women, not just to reach that individually a better place, but like you said, when that social empowerment happens, it's not just affecting them but the next generation. The children are getting
Oh, yeah.
better opportunities.
You're so right. I must say that women have always been at the heart of community transformation. And over the next few years, I see their role evolving from being just the beneficiaries to becoming leaders of change. And rather, we're already witnessing that. At Navjyoti India Foundation, we've witnessed firsthand how empowering women through education, skill development, and entrepreneurship, it creates a ripple effect, uplifting entire families and communities. Going forward, I'm sure I would see more women stepping into leadership roles, driving economic independence, and becoming vocal advocates for social issues. But with access to the right resources and opportunities, they won't just be a part of the change. They'll be leading it. And our role, in the foundation is to ensure that they have the platform, the skills, and the confidence to do so. Because, we act like catalysts. We just have to tell them that these are the opportunities. And once we kind of show them the way, then there's no stopping them.
And to believe in the ripple effect, right? Like when you're starting off, you don't know how big this is gonna be, but it takes its own life.
You're so right. Yes.
So going forward, Ujala, what I'm curious to know is how long does it take? Because as you mentioned, that these women come from rigid societies, and you had to be a part of the community to kind of, get through to them. What I'm curious to know, like, if you have to help them get that mindset shift, because they have been brought up in a certain way, certain things, and the change takes courage and time. What were the things that help you change their mindset? Uh, and how is it working now for you?
See, earlier it was very difficult because, their own family used to demotivate them and tell them that, initial days they used to tell the women that, Navjyoti aapko bigaad raha hai, they're spoiling you. And we will not let you step out of their homes because you're becoming pretty empowered and all of that. So it's not easy. You're absolutely right, Inayat. It's not easy. Making sure that they're out of their homes also was a task by itself because the husbands and the in-laws wouldn't just allow that. What happened was that slowly and gradually, when they started earning, now who doesn't like extra income in their homes? When they started earning, their husbands, when they used to, let's say, if they used to distribute milk in the communities or in the villages, far off villages, they had to walk down. You know what they did? They were very smart. They'd become very smart. They saved money and they bought them motorcycles. And, there's like, this is a gift from our income. And just imagine the husband now is going on a motorbike to sell milk, and so he's happy. But it doesn't happen overnight, it happens gradually. It takes ages. They say social engineering is a slow process. It can't happen overnight. You are dealing with the minds of people, not only the so-called beneficiaries or the women or
Yeah.
children. You're also in an ecosystem wherein the family has to be convinced. And slowly and gradually, that confidence came in, and the children started going to good schools. And when
Mhm.
we used to celebrate their achievements, not in silos. We used to make sure that in our own center, we used to call the entire village to celebrate sarpanch, the in-laws and their families, and we used to celebrate their achievements big way. So it was like, a buy-in started coming in slowly and gradually. It takes time. It is a slow process, but when it happens really nicely.
It's such a beautiful story that you shared, and I love the fact that extra income is always welcome, and
Yeah,
that's what changes minds.
yes,
So, going back to our conversation that we had before our podcast, when I first spoke to you, you happened to mention to me about a small story that how you're helping even the village leaders to get socially empowered. Could you tell us a little bit about that as well?
yeah, sure. So, see, there is no dearth of government policies in our country. There is no dearth of government policies. It is just that we are not aware as to what exists. So, I think one very important aspect of our program, especially when we work in villages, is also capacity building. We make sure that we teach these sarpanches or the panchayats or even the children youth clubs, we teach them what are the policies, what are the schemes which exist. So for example, let's say there is a lady sarpanch of one of the village, and she knows there is a pond and it's just going down day by day. I mean, because the water level goes down day by day. Now I, as a director, would not uh, go to a corporate and ask for money to make a change in the community or to make sure that the pond is revived. I would rather tell her and teach her uh, that there are government funds lying already, let's say in Chandigarh, let's say, and there are funds lying. Why don't you go and ask for your right? It's only about training them. It's only about teaching them that this is there. It's only about telling them it exists. It is your right. Go and ask for it. And trust me, they have gone. And the projects as big as worth what 25 lakh rupees have been sanctioned, and these women, the panchayat members and the women sarpanch, have done such a beautiful job in reviving these ponds and done so much in their villages. What I'm trying to say is it's empowerment is not only about raising funds and doing something in the community. To me, that's not empowerment. My experience says if you really want to empower them, work with them, train them, do a lot of capacity building, show them the way, act like catalyst, and then look at them where they go. And this is the same case even with the children, our Bal Gurus, as I explained earlier, that
Mhm.
it's all about sustaining. Otherwise, how do you sustain these programs? How do you sustain? If we are doing something good today, they might just come back tomorrow and say that, listen, you brought us this far, now what next for us? But it's equally important to also tell them that, if you've come this far, also it's our responsibility to tell them that how is it that the money is going to be used, or how do you multiply money? So financial literacy is also equally important if you're taking care of the skilling bit. So yes, I think it's all about capacity building in the communities along with what we're doing. That's very important.
So when you are being the catalyst, there is also an important role that these kind of very empowering ideas that come in. When you talk about Balgurus, I was quite taken in by the concept of the Balgurus. How did that come about?
Very good question. So see, there are 18,000 children, students rather, below the age of 18 in the area we are in Bhavana. It's the resettlement area. Now, if you remember when Nirbhaya case happened, you know, um, we were all shaken. We didn't know what to do. Um, and that was a time uh, we were all contemplating that as an organization, how more can we contribute? So then we realized and we brainstormed, the entire management along with the community, that it is very important to keep the students, the young children, occupied and with good thoughts always, so that there is no e-teasing and other such crimes which exist in the community. That's when this Bal Gurukul thing happened. That's how we thought of it. Now, I do not, as an organization, have resources of bandwidth to cater to students beyond 2000 in number. But then what happens to the rest 16,000 students? And here we're only talking about this community, resettlement community of Bhavana. Just imagine across the country, the kind of whatever the situation may have been. So we thought, let's start small, but let's make sure that these students, the 2,000 students, or we kind of filtered out some super active students of those 708 students, and we made sure that they're out in the community. The day schedule is so packed that there is no time to think otherwise. Bal Gurukul is all about values. It's not only about preaching. It's about that you're instilling gratitude, values at a very tender age. You telling them that, listen, you are fortunate, but what about the others? Why can't you teach them at such a young age? So what does it does? It not only instills a sense of gratitude, but you know what? It's what's happening. Because if you have to teach somebody else, you have to prepare constantly. So the trend says because they are preparing themselves, they have started to gain scholarships in the areas where they're good at. It could be yoga, it could be dance, it could be science, or it could be maths. When you're preparing to be able to teach to others, you're gaining scholarship in your and you're becoming experts in that particular domain. So it all started because if you look at the day schedule, they get up really early. They also have to help their parents and household chores. And if they go to school, they come back to our remedial education centers, whatever little time they have, they will get into extracurricular activities, and again they will teach whatever they are good at to other students. You tell me, they are so busy, where is the time to think otherwise or get into some other nonsense activities, if I may use that word? Because idle mind is devil's workshop. There is no idle mind here in these children. So they will never get deviated to anything wrong. So I think this came in during that time when we were contemplating that what could be our contribution, because at the end of the day, it has to have a ripple effect, whether with women or with children or Bal Gurus. And that's the only way how they can become. And who better than them, Roshni, as brand ambassadors of their community? Who better than them?
And they are the future that's coming up. That's the
They are the
generation that's coming up.
future.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just curious. So when you mentioned that, they come from such volatile backgrounds, right? Where values are probably not existent in the previous generation the way it should be. And you mentioned it's not about preaching but doing. How do you start it off? Like, it's that first spark. How does that happen, to value education?
So, see, we do a lot of team building exercises and get into a lot of extracurricular activities. And so I think it happened with, again, one of the activities wherein we kind of gave them a case study and we told them that if there's so many of you and there's just few of you who are learning and the rest of them are not learning, how do you feel about it? You have to kind of instill a lot of such things in them again. And they didn't feel good about it. They said, no, if we are learning, why do we want to keep it to ourselves and we want to pass it on to others as well? It just started from there. It started from there. And that's how it happened. And we didn't force it. We asked them. And we knew already because you know what, Roshni, we were mapping the talent of each child very closely. So we knew, it's wrong to have that expectation that all of them will be good in academics and in maths and science and other things. But they were so good in dance. They were so good in yoga. They were so good in mobilizing. So we said, okay, whatever you're good at, we are not going to impose. Whatever you good at, you will teach them. So it's not only academics. It's like if somebody is very good in dance, he will teach dance. Because children are now they are making what can
I
I
want
say?
to be part of one of this class now.
Sure, would love to have you. So and they're doing well. The ones who had they had their own dance groups and they go to Mumbai to perform. They become professionals.
Wow.
Rather, we have to take appointment from them, Roshni and Anayat, to get to a level wherein we want them to perform in one of our events. So we have to take appointment, but we are happy that they are busy and they're doing well. It doesn't matter to us.
I think it is so, like as you said, you're changing directions for them. You're showing them there is a lot of light. And you just have to walk towards it and take the first step. Just follow. Like, it is amazing. It is amazing, this concept. I think, as Roshi said, it is doing wonders. And as you're saying, you have to take appointments from them. And I'm very curious to uh, know more about them and be their student now.
Sure.
Yeah, moving forward. So, what if we have to talk about the long-term vision of Navjyoti? What is that like, Ajala?
Yeah. The world is changing rapidly, as we all know, and with it, the nature of social challenges. And, at Navjyoti, we've always believed in evolving with time. Rather, I would say that we've always been ahead of our time. So, understanding the root causes of the issues and
Mhm.
designing solutions that are sustainable, scalable, and community driven, very important. So, going forward, I think we see our role expanding in primarily three key ways. Number one is integrating technology for greater reach. Digital inclusion is no longer optional, whether it is education, whether it is skilling, or access to resources. I think we need to bridge the digital divide and ensure that the community we work with are not left behind in an increasingly, definitely tech driven world. That's one. Secondly, I think the future isn't just about providing aid, it's about empowering people to be self sufficient, like climate change, urban migration, economic shifts are creating new vulnerabilities, and our work will focus on equipping communities, especially women and youth, with the skills and mindset to navigate these changes. So I think building resilient communities on the pattern of sustainability is something which we are very mindful and will continue to do that. Third important aspect, because it concerns me a lot, is strengthening partnerships for impact. I've always felt that we just cannot work in silos. We can't do that. um, Otherwise, why do we exist? So no one
Yeah,
organization can solve complex social issues alone. Nobody can
yeah.
do that. We see ourselves as conveners, bringing together the right mix of corporates, policymakers, and grassroots change makers to create, I would say, meaningful and systematic change. Now, if you ask me, the upcoming project, if I can, as we evolve to meet emerging social challenges, we do recognize the transformative power of artificial intelligence for sure in bridging healthcare gaps. Now, that's one area wherein I would definitely think that we would want to work definitely on that. Our health project, integrating AI-driven solutions to enhance access, efficiency, and impact, ensuring that underserved communities receive quality care at scale. This is something which we have not done, which I would,
Mm.
we as an organization would love to work on this aspect and explore more as we speak.
All right. Okay. Right.
I'm just curious, how do you, so with Balgurus, you're already doing that, right? Like empowered students are helping other children get to that place. How are these other initiatives that you work with? Uh, is that already happening? That somebody already, communities that are already empowered, helping to develop others around them?
I think it's a brilliant question. So, um, as I said, the women who are now empowered financially are now employing other needy women from the nearby
Yeah.
villages. They could be widows, they could be any other person, and they have already started to employ them because they're doing well today. Uh, so again, it is an ecosystem wherein they are creating a ripple effect in the community. If she's reached that stage, she would want to help others also, and not by giving aid just like that, but by employing them, because self-esteem,
Enabling them. Yeah.
self-respect is very, very
Uh-huh.
important. That's one. Would you believe that, when we constructed our first check dam in one of the, again, most rigid villages of Haryana, many other organizations, they said that we would not want to do this project here because it's a very rigid community. But as we are a grassroots organization, we took the plunge and we said, no, we're going to do it because we had a very good rapport with the community. We've been working with them. Now it's been almost close to 4 decades now. the first check dam, because it is very important to, you know, empowering doesn't mean that you've constructed a dam. No. Empowering means that you have to be a part of the system, even if there are stones which needs, a check dam needs a lot of loose stones also, or a gabion structure needs a lot of loose stones which can be, brought together. These women from each household of the community members, they donated those stones from their homes, and they are the ones who did the
Wow.
shramdan. Shramdan was done by them, every day the duty was, they took it onto themselves that every day they would go and they would uh, give so many hours as, manpower or labor hours or whatever you may call it, and they contributed. So then there is a sense of ownership. There's a sense of accountability that if at the end of the day it is for us, then we also need to own it. How else do you own it? Only when you are a part of that structure. Either you do it through your shramdan, or you donate the stones, or in whatever capacity. Now, how do you maintain these structures? Because I cannot go back to a corporate and say that you have to now maintain it. They've just done
Yeah.
their bit. So every house would also contribute as per their own capacity. They will contribute and put some amount in the account so that if there is any maintenance required to upkeep that structure, it's taken care of. I think that's how when we talk about sustainability, that's what I mean.
I love the concept where you are also they are also getting equally involved so that they can hold accountability for the long term. So the maintenance, everything, to
Yeah,
understand the importance of construction or like development to
100%.
for say.
100%.
I think this is something we can all also learn from. So thank you for sharing that with us. Um, so I'm just curious to know, so that Navjyoti is situated in northern region, that is Haryana. Are you as a NGO planning to move base or like tap onto other regions as well, or it's situated to are you concentrating on that region only?
At the moment, Inat, we are in Delhi and we are in Haryana. And there is so much to do here also because we believe in the integrated model. Um, uh,
Huh?
it's not that if you're working with children, then you kind of not, or you can't be blind to the other problem which is there, because we feel that it's all related to each other. But having said that, we would not want to go directly to the other regions, but
Mm.
indirectly. What we wish to do is we wish to partner with the local NGOs already working in the other parts of the
All right.
country. And because,
Mm-hmm.
they understand the community, the demography, and
Of course.
all of
Mm-hmm.
that, and they're already there. So we would want to partner with them, and whatever has been our success projects or successful projects or success or case studies, we would want to maybe again not work in silos, but make sure we do a lot of partnership with them and move ahead in other parts of the country. That's how we wish to do. We want to make it a very collaborative model and not go all by ourselves. That's what we have in mind.
All right. Great.
Um, want to ask you at this point, Ujala, if common people want to contribute to this kind of a cause, how would they be able to do their bit?
Sure. Um, so Roshni, it is not always to do with money or funds. Of course, you do need money, you do need funds to kind of run the organization. Because end of the day, if you're catering 2,000 students, you need to pay to the teachers also, because these teachers were our beneficiaries at one point in time. So, you need to pay them. But it's not only about funds. Of course, people who can pay, they are paying, and that's how we run the organization. But other than that, it could be all of us are so skilled and talented in whatever way we are. It could be anything. It could be taking virtual sessions. It could be just becoming a mentor to someone. It could be just a woman who just needs to be heard. It could be a mentor-mentee relationship as well with them. And you need not be there with them face to face. It could be done even virtually. There are so many ways we can all help. Today when we go out when I go out and give presentations to the corporates, I think even corporates are becoming very mindful of the fact that it's not only about giving funds under their 2% CSR Act, but they make sure, and I'm very happy about it, that they make sure that the employees are engaged in some activity or the other. They have those mandatory volunteer days designed either on monthly basis or on quarterly basis, and they're helping in so many ways. It could be even in an organization. For example, today, if I need some training on AI and I need to do some analysis to do better in the communities, I would have somebody from Microsoft as a volunteer and be a part of those virtual sessions. So he's good at that, but we need that help because we're not good at that, right? We cannot be good at everything, but we can be catalysts. But people can help us in whatever they are good at, in whatever way they wish to.
And how do they reach you if they want to?
So we have our website also. We have our website, and they can reach out to us on website when they write to us. And we have our SM handles, social media handles also. But if we are already partners with, let's say, few corporates, and when we go out and work with them, we kind of ask them for their support in whatever way we can. So yeah, website is also, it's like an open window to the world, wherein they come and they reach out to us and we get to know. And then it's again word of mouth, many ways.
So jumping on to a little bit of fun aspect of our show now. Uh, I'm going to be asking you 5 questions, Ujala.
Hmm.
Just promptly whatever's coming to your mind, please share it with us. So, what is a weird quirk you have that might surprise our listeners?
You know, I keep random little things that hold memories. It could be a ticket stub, it could be even a wrapper from a place that meant something to me. It could be a handwritten note. They may seem like junk to others, but for me, I think they are pieces of a story. So that's what I love to do.
Memorabilia. So, if you could have dinner with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh, it has to be none other than Sir Ratan Tata. I mean, I so admired him and his business acumen, humility, and commitment to social impact. I think truly makes him a true icon. And
Yeah, he is.
yes, so definitely it has to be him.
Uh, what is the most unexpected or funny moment that you've experienced working in the social sector?
Wow. So it was when I just started, I just joined Navjyoti, and as I shared earlier, that I used to work in the typical rural setup in one of the
Yeah.
villages. And one of the funniest moments from my early days, basically working in the rural setup, happened during my very first meeting. I still remember with a staff member in my office. And as I said, we used to operate from one of the villages in Haryana, and we were deep in discussion, and on a rather sensitive topic. Then suddenly, one of the staff members, he stood up and he said he needed to leave. And I was confused. I asked why. And with complete seriousness, he replied, "My cow won't give milk without me, and it's time." I was like new to this environment, and while everyone else took it in a stride, and I just couldn't help but laugh also because it was, such a real, unexpected reminder that in some places, work priorities and life's rhythms blend in the most unique ways. And I can never forget till date. I'm telling you, this is like a 17-year-old story, but till date, I just cannot forget that. The expressions and the seriousness, I hadn't, I was like, please go. You can do what you want.
That is a story to remember.
Yes.
So, if we give you a time machine, would you like to go in the past or the future? And why?
Okay. Honestly, I won't go anywhere. You know, the past has already happened. and the future is shaped by what we do today. And I think the real magic uh, isn't today. It's in the present. This is where we have the power to create. We have the power to impact and to make choices that define the future. So I would politely decline the time machine and get back to work.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. That one dream you really want to come true.
That one dream. Um, See, at the end of the day, my dream is simple, to look back years from now and feel that everything, the struggles, the challenges, or the choices that I made and the long nights was worth it. I think that we created something meaningful and that we truly made a difference in so many lives. So my dream is to, if you ask me, is to bring healthcare to the doorsteps of the masses,
Wow.
making quality health services accessible, inclusive, and within reach for everyone, especially those in underserved communities. I think it will be interesting to witness the power of AI in this spectrum. I think that's my dream. And if I can share a small story also,
Please.
because the reason this health bit, because, one of the most transformative experiences in my journey has been knowing this boy by the name of Pankaj. And he was a young boy born with a rare kidney condition. And despite undergoing regular dialysis, losing his vision, and developing heart complications, he carries an unshakable sense of gratitude. But I knew him always as a very bright student, a boy who had a lot of dreams. But I've never met anyone like him. While most would be consumed by hardship, Pankaj chooses to focus on what he has rather than what he has lost. So his resilience has redefined gratitude for me. And it's not about having a perfect life, but about, finding light even in the darkest moments. And to me, Pankaj's story is a powerful reminder that gratitude fuels strength, shifts perspectives, makes even the toughest battles worth fighting. And that lesson has changed me forever. So I feel that if
Wow.
you're healthy, you can still dream, if you have these issues and you're not able to, even if you have dreams, but you're not able to reach that far. I want to make sure that this health bit, if I'm able to do something on that spectrum using the power of AI so that it reaches everyone. Everyone. Nobody should be deprived of this. Because if you are healthy, then you can really dream big as well. I mean, you can at least uh, do something about it. Otherwise, you lose out onto a lot of things. That's what I feel.
That is amazing.
Thank you, Ujala, this for sharing your time and all these beautiful insights that you have given us today. Not just your work, which is so powerful, but also your team, everybody involved with the work you do, including the small children. It just, like you said, the magic of today, and that magic every person has. And
Hmm.
I think it's a time, after talking to you, it's a time to kind of reflect for each and every one of us, what are we doing with that power we have, to create something meaningful in the world that we live in. And of course, I want to say a big thank you to our listeners for being part of this conversation. If Ujala's story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Spotify. Your support helps us bring more change makers and thought leaders to changepreneurs. Until next time, keep challenging the norm, making an impact, and being the change. Thank you, Ujala.
Thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot for this opportunity. Inayat and Roshni, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ujala. Thank you,
Thanks.
guys.